Welcome to Reddit Echoes, where real-life stories are told with raw honesty, a touch of sarcasm, and sometimes they'll make you say, "There's no way this actually happened." In today's video, you'll hear stories shared by the people who lived them, people who've been through situations so bizarre, painful, or downright controversial, you'd swear they came straight out of a soap opera. From a 60-year-old mother asking her daughter for eggs, to have a baby with her young husband, to a girl being kicked out of her cousin's wedding for looking too good, or a couple breaking up over VR and adult toys. Yeah. Welcome to the world where the line between logic and madness is paper thin. So if you love drama-filled stories that shine a harsh light on family, love, or marriage, you're in the right place. Now sit back, relax, and ask yourself, if it were me in that situation, what the hell would I do? Story 1. My 60-year-old mom asked for my eggs, and this is why I said no. Hi everyone, I know this story sounds like something ripped from an 8 p.m. soap opera, but I swear it's real. And I'm the one caught in the middle of this surreal drama. My name is Lily, I'm 30. Single, independent, have a good job, and I'm at that life stage where everyone keeps asking, so when are you getting married? Having kids? But today, I'm not here to talk about me having children. I'm here to talk about my mother who's 60 and asked me for my eggs so she could have a baby. You heard that right? My family was never normal to begin with. I grew up in a relatively okay family. My parents divorced when I was in middle school. My mom is incredibly strong-willed, proud, blunt, and overbearing. She believes in doing everything her way, and she doesn't let anyone, including her only daughter, interfere. I love my mother. I really do. But she's not someone who's easy to live with. Every relationship has boundaries except with her. She doesn't see boundaries, only her version of love. After the divorce, she remarried a man almost 20 years younger than her, Alex. He's now about 42. At first, I tried to be supportive. She seemed happy. But Alex gave me the creeps. He's overly polite, stares a little too long, and drops harmless jokes that feel very wrong. Nothing specific enough to accuse him of, but my gut, always on alert. And then came the strangest request I've ever heard. A few months ago, my mom started talking more and more about wanting a child. At first, I thought she meant getting a dog, or maybe gardening. Nope. She meant an actual human baby. I can still carry you, know, she said one night, dead serious. Women in their 60s can still get pregnant with the right help, healthy uterus donor eggs. I laughed it off. Wait, are you adopting or something? No. I want to get pregnant. And I need eggs. I looked at her like she'd just told me she was going to Mars on a bicycle. The sentence that shattered everything. Then she added, your eggs. You're healthy, smart, beautiful, good genes. This baby, I'll raise it right this time. I promise. You promise? I know I made a lot of mistakes raising you, but this time I'll get it right. So if you give me one egg, we'll both get a second chance. I was speechless. Part of me pitied her. She sounded broken, desperate to fix something from the past. But the other part of me, absolutely horrified. What my mom refused to understand. I gently as possible explained why I couldn't do that. I laid it out like a closing argument in court. Reason 1. Donating eggs isn't like donating blood. It's an invasive process. It involves hormone injections, risks, and could affect my own fertility. Reason 2. Biologically, the child would be my child. There's no world where I can watch a baby with my DNA grow up and call them my little brother or sister like that's normal. Reason 3. My mom is 60. With all the love I have for her, pregnancy at her age is extremely risky, physically and emotionally. Reason 4. I don't trust Alex. And I can't hand over my genetics to a child who'd grow up in a home I have no control over, especially with him in it. I wrote an email because I couldn't say it. Face to face. After the conversation, I was drained. My mom didn't scream or get angry. She just looked heartbreakingly disappointed. And that made me feel guilty, but not wrong. A few days later, I sent her an email nearly 2,000 words long. I told her that I love her, but I can't help her chase this dream. I wasn't refusing out of spite or selfishness. I was protecting myself. And protecting a potential child from the same dysfunction I grew up with. I didn't expect her to agree. I just hoped she'd understand. She responded. The reply came just a few hours later. It was short, but shocking in its tone. I understand. I'm sorry for making you feel pressured. I just wanted to be a mother again. The right way this time. But if you're not ready, I'll let it go. I stared at the screen for 10 minutes, eyes burning. For the first time ever, my mom had backed off. No shouting, no guilt tripping, just, I understand. But it wasn't over yet. A week later, I got a call from a distant relative, someone I hadn't spoken to since my aunt's wedding. She said, I heard you were being really selfish. Refused to help your mom have another baby. She's heartbroken. I was stunned. My mom told the family twisted it in a way that I was the ungrateful daughter. I called her immediately. And of course, she denied it. I just told a few people. I didn't think it would get back to you. That was my final straw. I sent one last message, I love you, but if you keep telling people about this and blaming me, I'll need to cut contact for a while. No reply. 2 weeks later, I received a letter in the mail. Inside was a printed sonogram, but not of my mother. It was from another woman, someone I barely knew, who had apparently agreed to donate her eggs. My mom had found someone else, and with the photo was a note, I'm going to be a mother again. But I still hope this baby will call you sister. I tore the picture in half and cried. Conclusion. I don't know how I feel. Angry. Sad, relieved. I can't stop her. I can't control her choices. But I know one thing for sure, her choices will not be mine. I choose peace. I choose boundaries. And if someday that child grows up and asks me, who are you? I'll tell the truth. No more, no less. Because I've lived long enough to know we are not responsible for healing someone else's unfinished dream. Story 2. Hooby Dooby. When my husband shouted the strangest secret. During intimacy, I never thought I'd be one of those people who posts a weirdly intimate story on the internet. But here I am, typing every word. And honestly, I'm just hoping someone out there has experienced something similar, or at the very least won't laugh too loudly. My name is Emma. I'm 33 years old, and I've been married to my husband Dan, 35, for 5 years. Dan is a good guy, thoughtful, smart, with that awkward dad joke humor that's somehow impossible to hate. We're not some fiery, passion-fueled couple, but we're not boring either. Everything was fine. Until one night. The night started out completely normal. It was a regular Friday night. I'd just come out of the shower, hair still damp, wearing the satin nightgown Dan once said really brings out your eyes. He was lying in bed hugging his dinosaur-shaped body pillow. Don't ask. I have no idea why he's so attached to it. The mood was calm. We chatted, we laughed. Things started to escalate, you know where this is going. Then he said, Hooby Dooby. Right at the peak, I mean the moment Dan suddenly roared with the passion of a World Cup fan watching a 90th minute goal. Hooby Dooby, not a whisper, not a quiet murmur, a full-on stadium-level scream. I froze. Everything stopped. He stopped. The room went silent and weird. It was so jarring. I thought I got ghosted mid-sex. I thought, what is Hooby Dooby? A person. An old nickname. Some kind of 18-plus cartoon reference. I stared at him like, what the hell did you just say? Dan stared back at me like he wanted to dig a hole and disappear. You heard that, he whispered. You yelled it like you were summoning spirits. Of course I heard it. He immediately dove under the blanket like a toddler. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It just slipped out. Slipped out. I was suddenly Sherlock Holmes in a satin nightgown, so I did some digging. I didn't mention it for a few days. I waited to see if he'd bring it up. He didn't. And then the overthinking began. I Googled Hooby-Dooby, meaning Hooby-Dooby Urban Dictionary, Hooby-Dooby fetish, cartoon character. Hooby-Dooby turns out there's a British children's show called The Hoobs, and a character named Ivor may be connected, but no way. Then I found a thread on a bowling forum, Yes Bowling, where someone claimed they shouted Hooby-Dooby every time they scored a strike, said it brought them luck. I was suspicious but intrigued. I finally confronted him. One night I just blurted it out, Dan. I can't stop thinking about Hooby-Dooby. Just tell me what it is. Dan sighed like he was about to confess to a federal crime. And then he did. He told me that back in college he was on a bowling team. Every time he got a strike, he'd yell Hooby-Dooby as a confidence booster. I nodded slowly. And how does that connect to sex? Dan turned red. I don't know. But the first time I was really nervous. I thought I might finish too soon. I nodded. He continued. So I tried to think of something that made me feel confident. That word popped into my head. I didn't mean to say it out loud. I swear. I blinked. Thinking about it is one thing. Yelling it is another. He looked ashamed. It's like a reflex now. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Here I was looking at the man I loved who just admitted that he used a bowling chant to manage his performance. And sometimes he shouts it. I cracked. I lost it. I laughed like a maniac. The kind of laughter that comes from sheer confusion, exhaustion, and the realization that this crap only happens to me. But it didn't stop there. The next time we were intimate, everything was normal. Until I noticed him biting his lip, clearly trying to hold something in. Then, without warning, he blurted, "Scoobity boop." I sat up. Do you have a whole cast of cartoon characters in your head? He apologized over and over, saying he had a reflex disorder. I don't know if that's a real psychological condition, but if it is, he might be the first documented case. I started questioning everything. After that, I couldn't unsee it. It's not that I stopped loving him, but every time I looked at him, I'd think of his cartoon exclamations. And then I started wondering, is this just quirky, or is it something deeper? Why didn't he ever tell me? Has he ever shouted someone else's name by mistake? What other reflexes is he hiding? Eventually, we had a serious talk. I sat him down and said, Dan, I love you, but if Hooby-Dooby is going to be a permanent fixture in our sex life, we need to either accept it or fix it. Dan agreed. He offered to see a sex therapist. And you know what? She was incredibly professional. She explained that some people develop reflexes or mental triggers to manage emotional or physical overwhelm during intimacy. So Dan learned to take deep breaths instead of yelling. And I learned not to laugh in the middle of what's supposed to be a romantic moment. The end kind of this whole ordeal taught me something. Marriage isn't just about romance or perfection. It's about learning to love even the weirdest parts of each other. Dan doesn't yell Hooby-Dooby anymore. But every time we go bowling and he hits a strike, he glances at me with a smirk. And I just look back and say, no, not tonight. I'm not in the mood for Scoobity-Boop. Story 3. I almost married a guy who thought cheating was an April Fool's joke. I don't even know where to start. Maybe I'll begin with this. I used to think I was the luckiest woman in the world. I had a boyfriend who loved me, spoiled me with surprise gifts, told me he loved me every night, made me feel like I was the one and only person on earth. Or I could start with the moment I found out it was all just an elaborate play, a cruel joke revealed on April Fool's Day like a punch straight to the gut. The perfect guy on paper. I met Nate, my now ex, when I was 27. We were working on the same media project. He was funny, thoughtful, Had that old-school romantic charm, handwritten letters, personalized playlists, post-it notes on the bathroom mirror that said, "I love you." I honestly thought, if anyone deserves to be my husband, it's this man. After 2 years of dating, we started planning the wedding. I had picked my maid of honor. He had chosen his best man. We even picked out baby names. Everything felt certain. Then came April 1st. April 1st. I remember it vividly. I was working from home when Nate called me. His voice was shaky. Off. "Babe, I need to tell you something. I messed up." I froze. "What are you talking about? I slept with someone. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen, but she's pregnant." My entire world cracked open. My heart raced. My vision blurred. I collapsed into my chair, struggling to breathe. And then, "It got worse," I asked. Who? He paused, then finally answered. "It's Allie. Allie. My best friend. The girl who grew up with me. The one who held me when I cried over my first breakup. The one who swore she'd be my maid of honor." I ran to the bathroom and threw up. I spiraled. For the next few hours, I lost it. I called Allie, no answer. I texted my mom, bawling like a child. I shattered our framed photo. I threw the engagement ring box against the wall. It hit the floor with a sound that felt like the lid slamming shut on my entire belief in love. I wrote a breakup message longer than a college essay. I was about to send it when he called me again. And then he said 3 words. "April Fools." Baby, I froze. What April Fools? You fell for it. You really believed it. That was Oscar-worthy acting, admit it. I screamed you pretended to cheat on me with my best friend and got her pregnant for a joke. Babe, come on. It's just a prank. People do this kind of stuff all the time, but the twist wasn't over yet. I hung up on him. I didn't sleep that night. I was shaking with rage and disbelief. Then a friend messaged me, "Have you seen Nate's TikTok? Are you okay?" I checked his page. He had posted a video recounting the prank like it was some epic achievement. Caption: "Made my girlfriend believe I cheated with her best friend and got her pregnant. Her reaction was priceless." April Fools. Troll King. I felt physically sick. The video had over 75,000 views in less than 10 hours. The comments were split. Half were "Bro, you're savage AF, best prank ever, LOL." The other half were, "This guy is unhinged. If that was me, he'd be missing teeth. I took action." The next morning, I packed up all of Nate's stuff and dumped it in the trash bin out front. I printed our first photo together and wrote under it, "Rest in peace." A beautiful relationship murdered by a stupid fucking joke. Then I emailed his mom, the woman who once told me, "My son is a true gentleman." I wrote just one line. "Thank you for raising a man dumb enough to turn someone's trust into a cheap punchline." He tried to apologize. Over the next week, Nate bombarded me with messages. He called. He sent flowers. He wrote long, emotional emails. I just wanted to create a funny memory. "I didn't think you'd react like that. I was actually going to propose next week." I replied only once. "The only thing you created is a memory so painful I never want to fall in love again." Even Allie reached out to make it worse. Allie eventually called me crying. I didn't know what he was planning. He just asked if I wanted to help with a harmless prank. I said no. I didn't think he'd actually use my name. I forgave her. Not because she deserved it, but because I was too exhausted to keep hating anyone. The end and the lesson. I deleted Nate from everything. Socials, contacts, photos. I deleted our wedding videos, our couple playlists, every trace of us. And I learned something: never be with someone who treats your heartbreak as the punchline to their perfect joke. April Fools is not an excuse to destroy someone's trust. It's not a shield to hide behind after you cross a line. If you're with someone and you're starting to question whether they've already gone too far, trust your gut. Because sometimes what they call a joke is actually a red flag in disguise. Have you ever been the victim of a joke that went way too far? Share your story in the comments. And remember, the people who truly value you would never make your heartbreak part of their viral content. Story 4. I got kicked out of my cousin's wedding for wearing the dress my mom picked for me. Hi everyone, I'm the girl who just got kicked out of her cousin's wedding for wearing a dress my mom picked out. Yes, you heard that right. I was escorted out, in front of 150 guests. No warning, no explanation, just humiliation, served cold. Buckle up because this story is messier than the dessert table at that wedding. It all started with a dress. I'm 25, living back home with my mom after switching to remote work. I'm not flashy. I've never been the type to steal the spotlight, especially not at someone else's wedding. But my mom has the taste of a 1970s French fashion icon trapped in a Vietnamese drama queen's soul. When we got the invite to my cousin Emma's wedding, she practically dragged me to her tailor. She was on a mission to restore our family's presence and make a statement. I told her, please, something simple. I don't want to stand out. She nodded, and then behind my back handed the tailor a design straight from a Dior runway. A silk ivory gown, V-neck, slit thigh, lace sleeves, form-fitting. I tried it on, and even I had to admit it was stunning. Like main character in a Netflix period romance, stunning. I told her I'd rather wear something else. She snapped, wear it. You're beautiful. Don't hide. You're not some background extra. I gave in. Wedding day, and the first look. The wedding was held at a luxury beachside resort. I arrived early to help with the bridesmaid duties and setup, and immediately the compliments started. Wow, that dress is gorgeous. You look like a movie star. Are you a model? I felt uncomfortable. The dress was a bit much. Then Emma, the bride, walked in. Her dress was fine. A classic modest A-line with some creases. Her hair was in a bun that didn't suit her face shape. She wasn't ugly. Not at all. But compared to me in that goddess-level dress, I looked like the promotional poster and she looked like the budget version. I could feel the tension radiating from her the second she saw me. The meltdown. About 30 minutes into the reception, she pulled me aside behind the venue. Her voice icy. You wore that dress on purpose, didn't you? I blinked. What, you knew how it looked? You knew what my dress looked like. What the hell were you thinking showing up to someone else's wedding? In that I was speechless. I didn't mean to. My mom picked it. I didn't realize. I'm sorry if she cut me off too late. You stole the show. 3 of my friends thought you were the bride. She turned and stormed off. 5 minutes later, a staff member came up and said, excuse me, the bride has requested that you leave. You're no longer on the guest list. And just like that, I was kicked out. I was escorted out of the wedding, in front of everyone, aunties, uncles, cousins, all staring at me like I just slapped the bride with a stiletto. I saw Emma's fiancé whispering to someone, and then looking away. My mom yelled, why are they doing this to my daughter? Security stopped her from making a scene. I walked out to the parking lot, sat in my car, didn't cry, didn't scream. Just stared blankly for an hour, wondering if I should laugh, be furious, or crawl into a hole and disappear. But the drama wasn't over. The next day, I got a text from Emma. Thanks for ruining the most important day of my life. Hope it was worth it. I didn't respond. But my brain, on fire with questions. Did I really ruin her wedding? Is it my fault my mom has couture-level taste? Why humiliate me publicly instead of having a private word? Did I shine too bright? Or was she just not ready to stand in the spotlight? Social media exploded. A friend posted a story, most dramatic wedding I've been to. The guest who got kicked out, yikes. I stayed quiet, but the messages started rolling in. Some said, you didn't do anything wrong. Beautiful dress, so what? That's not a crime. Others, you probably should have toned it down. It's an unspoken rule, don't outshine the bride. It was like a full-blown wedding Reddit thread playing out in real life. Here's what I've been asking myself. Since do we live in a world so obsessed with appearances that a dress can destroy relationships? I wasn't trying to steal attention. I wore what my mother thought was beautiful. And yeah, maybe I should have spoken up, followed my gut. Maybe I should have said, "Mom, this isn't about us." But maybe Emma should have had enough confidence to realize a dress doesn't make a marriage. You can't build a happy life if a guest in a satin gown is all it takes to ruin your day. So, what do you think? Was I wrong? Should I apologize again or just move on? Have you ever been blamed for standing out, even when it wasn't intentional? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. And one last thing. Your confidence should never come with an apology. If someone feels threatened by your light, maybe it's time they learn to shine on their own. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey with Reddit Echoes, a ride filled with conflict, heartbreak, but above all, brutal honesty. The stories you just heard weren't just narratives, they were slices of real-life silent battles that could happen to anyone. Maybe you felt connected, maybe you were outraged, maybe you were heartbroken for the people involved. But that's exactly why these stories matter. They deserve to be told, and they deserve to be heard. If you've ever been in a similar situation, or if you see things from a different perspective, don't hesitate to share in the comments. We'd love to hear your side because Reddit Echoes isn't just about storytelling, it's about listening. And if you found this video compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next story. One filled with secret sorrow or maybe a little bit of liberation. Once again, thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next episode right here on Reddit Echoes.